All right, you ready? I what was it? I saw a tiger, and the tiger saw a man. The tiger licked his lips. I like that tiger's lips too. I tried to fuck that tiger, but that tiger tried to eat me. So, yeah, I didn't realize that that movie was actually about fucking tiger furry gay porn. Thank you for turning me on to that. That was awesome. That was your suggestion. I didn't know you like gay tiger furry
I
porn
feel like
too.
you were way more stoned when you watched it than I was, because I didn't get fucking furry porn out of that.
Yeah, that's
Tigers, yes. Gays, yes. No furry
spoiler
shit.
alert. There's a lot of man on man sex in it, and it's all about gay furry porn. So yes, everybody go out and watch Tiger King on Netflix. That's what it's about. Expect to see that when you turn it on.
Tiger cubs must be way cuter in person than they are on
What are
TV
you
or
talking
whatever.
about?
Because that dude talked 2 straight guys into
Oh.
marrying him.
That's right. Well, quote unquote straight. I mean, how straight were they?
I mean, obviously not all the way straight.
They liked
but
watching giant cock porn.
I feel like it took some convincing.
I get. Well, I mean, I guess just Tiger Cubs turns you gay. That other guy was using it to get chicks. So yeah, I mean, I guess Tiger Cubs just get you naked.
That might be the biggest thing I learned, is how much polygamy there is in the big cat zoo world.
Well, there's at least 2 guys. I mean, I guess in the big cat world, there's probably 5 guys. So yeah, almost 50% of the big cat zoo world is polygamist, just like the Mormons.
Yes, but with the higher chance of getting
And
eaten,
more
I guess.
gay. 50% more gay.
Now it's 50% more gay.
Yeah. So anyway, it was good. Angel and I watched it. It was fun.
Yeah, it started out being a tiger show, and then it turned into a true crime thing. I was like, how the fuck did I get roped into watching this?
Oh, really? Well, what did you think it was when you started it?
When I started it, I just thought it was going to be about fucking tigers and shit. I had no idea it was going to be some true crime. She killed her husband and fed him to the tigers, and he put a hit on her, and everybody's fucking everybody over, and
And then there's fucking Siegfried and Roy just fucking being cool about it and getting mauled, I guess.
I was going to say, didn't one of them get
Yeah.
eaten or some shit?
Yeah.
Are they both still alive, or did that dude
No,
die?
I think he survived
I
it.
don't remember.
But fucking what's Joe Exotic? Joe Exotic is like the redneck version of them. Like he even looks like that.
That dude has one of the best mullets I've ever seen.
One of the best mullets you've ever seen. Really?
It's like a bowl cut mullet.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, you know
A
what?
bleach blonde bowl cut mullet.
Top 3 mullets then. Let's top 3 mullets. I would say fucking Hasselhoff in the 80s. 1.
Okay,
Joe Dirt.
All right. Okay, yep. Yeah, you gotta have Joe Dirt up there.
And then Joe Exotic. That's my favorite.
Where do you throw Uncle Jesse in up there? From Full House.
Oh, God. No, he's up there with Hasselhoff. Him and Hasselhoff and Uncle Jesse, 2 of the best mullets ever.
And fucking Achy Breaky Heart guy.
Fuck that dude. Billy Ray Cyrus? Fuck
Billy
that
Ray
dude.
Cyrus, yeah.
He produced fucking Miley Cyrus. That bitch needs to go down just like New Jersey. We need to go back and fucking prevent that shit.
Now I'm curious what you have against Miley Cyrus.
I mean,
You're a grown man. You can change the channel when you want to. You ain't gotta fucking pay attention to that.
I'm a grown man with kids. You need to rethink that.
You're bigger than the both of them put together. You pick what radio station's on.
But have you ever been next to Miley Cyrus? She smells just like New Jersey. It's awful.
I have not. What were you doing next to her?
Nothing I wanted to be doing. It was kind of sucked.
That ever clear up for you?
No, it still itches.
Still oozy.
Yeah. It's less oozy now, but yeah. It gets oozy when I'm excited, really, but it's just more itchy all the time. Anyway, speaking of itchy and oozy, this is the Higher Minds podcast.
It is. I'm Scott.
I'm Baba Darby. How is everybody?
Oh, we're back to doing that again.
I can't help it. Well, no, I mean, the phones are going to ring now. No, now. No, they're going to call in. Hold on. Now. Yeah, wait around for that, guys. It's fun. Anyway, how are you? How's your week been?
Super. I get to stay home with the dog for like a couple weeks now.
I know. I'm hating this. I'm loving this. This is kind of awesome.
I'd much rather be making money than sitting at home being bored, but
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I'm fortunate in that aspect, so thank you. But yeah. This is not awful for me. But you know who this is awful for? Have you heard the reports of what we're doing there? Have you heard the reports about what they're doing in Singapore?
I have not. What are they doing in Singapore?
So the authorities in Singapore, once an infected person is identified, the government is taking their phones and getting a list of everybody they've been around in the last couple of days. And then, or last 14 days, I think it is. And then they've developed an app that will tell you where all of the infected people are around you. So we've obviously already passed 1984, 10 years ago. And by 1984, I'm talking about Orson. Is that Orson Welles? No. Who did 1984? Yeah. Who wrote that? Anyway, but you know what I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure it was Wells, wasn't it? You keep talking. I'll go to the end of
it. Well, anyway, we've clearly passed the Big Brother authoritarian, all-seeing, all-knowing governmentness. We passed that 10 years ago. We're already living in that reality. This step seems ultra frightening to me, especially now that the government knows what they can do to peacefully subdue our civilization.
George Orwell, not Orson Welles.
Orwell.
Somehow I managed to get
George
both
Orwell. I know.
Fucked up all the time. So
yeah. Orson Welles is the guy that gets drunk and makes commercials. Yeah, that was good.
Listeners weren't able to see you fucking miming that while you were doing it too. Acting it out.
He's drinking right now. I'm just stoned. If Orson Welles was still around... Wait, yeah, Orson Welles, if he was still around, he'd totally be a stoner. He would get stoned all the fucking time. He would be fucking Snoop Dogg. That's what he'd be.
Except fatter and whiter.
Yeah. He'd be Martha Stewart.
Except with a dick.
He'd be Martha Stewart. Anyway, what do you want to talk about today?
First, I want to preface this with we had this idea like over a month ago, and we've been putting it off for a while. And in that over a month since I came up with this topic, multiple other sources have been doing this too. So,
right. Well,
we're not bandwagoning. I had this idea first. We just never acted on it.
Right. Well, it's because everybody's listening to us and they're watching us and they're getting their cues from what we do. I mean, it's happened several times already. And there's that documentary coming out too pretty soon.
It is weird how fucking multiple independent sources come up with the same fucking topics real close to each other all the time.
Occasionally, there's been a couple that came out right before, like we start planning something and then somebody else does it, like gets it out before we do. But there's been several times where we do something and then a week or two later, another podcast does it.
We did one a while back. I can't remember what the fuck the topic was. We record on Sundays and release on Wednesdays. And somewhere in that Monday, Tuesday range, what the fuck we were talking about, or our episode that week, fucking dropped on like 2 other different YouTube channels or podcasts or whatever.
Yeah, I've seen that, and it's like darn it, but whatever, that's fine. We can do it. We can do it. Deal with that. But yes,
So,
it's a
with
little
all that
frustrating.
being said, we're talking about Chris Benoit today, who Vice just did a 2-part thing on, like, earlier this week.
Chris Benoit, not because in my head it's been Ben-oyt the entire time.
No, it's Chris Benoit. He's French Canadian.
Don't they eat fucking Ben-oyts up there?
I have no idea what you're getting at.
No.
I think they just chew on hockey pucks up there.
I'm talking about they eat poutine. Poutine's good.
I've heard it's good. I've never tried it though.
It's fries with gravy and cheese.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I'm sure you've
bad.
Yeah, I mean it's a baked potato, or I mean it's like a potato. I mean it's yeah. I don't know.
It's French fries, baked potatoes, and mashed potatoes all in one.
And they all listen to fucking Celine Dion and I am butchering this fucking Canadian bashing shit. Fuck New Jersey. Anyway.
It's hard to shit on the Canadians because they're so friendly.
I like Canadians. Hey, we have some Canadian listeners, actually.
What's going on, eh?
Kelly. We have a fan that I've talked to a couple of times on Instagram named Kelly. Goes by Kelman. Shout out. He does art. He does some good, cool shit. You should check him out.
Hi, Kelly from Canada.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
Is that a Canadian Fonzie? Hey. Was the Fonz fucking Canadian? Did we just accidentally stumble on that one?
What? Did we stumble on what?
Was the Fonz actually Canadian? Is that why he said A all the time?
Oh my god. The Fonz is Wolverine.
Chris Benoit. Born Christopher Michael Benoit, May the 21st, 1967, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Benoit idolized the Dynamite Kid and fellow Canadian wrestler Bret Hart growing up. He actually trained with the Hart family at the Hart family dungeon and adopted Bret's sharpshooter as one of his finishers. Benoit was a professional wrestler for 22 years, performing with World Wrestling Federation / World Wrestling Entertainment, the WWF / WWE, World Championship Wrestling, the WCW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW, and New Japan Pro Wrestling, NJPW. Benoit was known for having a very technical style of wrestling. He used several different suplexes, most notably 3 German suplexes done back-to-back in succession without letting go.
You ever wrestle? Like,
we used to do like trampoline wrestling growing up.
I mean, like high school Roman Greco kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I've done actual Olympic style wrestling too.
Cool. Yeah, I used to wrestle. I wrestled junior high through high school. I was heavyweight. I was always one of the heaviest kids in school.
Yeah, me too. I was a fat kid. I am a fat kid.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a fat man now. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm chubby. Anyway.
You got a big old round head on you too.
I do. It's half of my weight. Did you know that? It's mostly lead.
It looks like it is.
Yeah.
Benoit also used submissions like the crippler crossface and the aforementioned sharpshooter, as well as a diving headbutt delivered from the top turnbuckle for finishers.
That seems unhealthy.
That diving headbutt is going to come back into play later.
Yeah. The diving headbutt.
I don't know how tall a turnbuckle is. Probably about 5 feet or so.
A turnbuckle?
So jumping off of that face first onto somebody probably isn't the best thing for you.
I mean, so I'm sure there's impact. I'm sure he's fucked it up a couple times. But wrestling, all of their attacks are all staged and are quote unquote deemed safe. So, like, what's
For the
going
most
on
part,
there?
yeah. You're still throwing a 200 plus pound man off the top rope halfway across the 20-foot ring.
No, no. What I'm
He's
asking,
gonna catch himself, but like you're gonna fucking bump your head every once in a while.
no, what I'm asking is like, what does it look like? What's he doing with his head to that he's not like breaking his neck every time he falls?
Most of the time he gets a hand out in front of him to
Oh,
start
okay.
to like slow himself down. But there's also shit like unprotected chair shots where you're just taking a steel chair to the face
Right.
without getting your hand up, and him and a lot of other guys took plenty of those over the years too.
Sure. Especially earlier. I mean, he's not.
Oh
He's,
yeah,
like, I'm talking about like in the '80s and shit. They use steel as chairs. Like later on, they use breaker shit and stuff that is not as. It's not as.
the chairs really didn't come around until like the mid '90s. Really,
Okay. Well,
like they were used occasionally before then, but
I remember it happening a lot in the '80s.
his generation is
Hogan
the
fucking got it all the
generation
time.
that not often.
Am I? I'm not. Am I not thinking of that right? Okay. I might
He got it,
misremembering.
but compared to guys like in the mid to late '90s, they got it way more often.
I don't know. Maybe I'm having a Mandelism.
Maybe.
Copyright, Scott.
I forgot we made up that word. Yeah. Kurt Angle. Does that name mean anything to you?
Sounds familiar.
He's a professional wrestler and a Olympic gold medalist in amateur wrestling. So legit world-class professional athlete.
That's
In
why.
a
That's why I remember it. That
2017.
name sounds familiar because I think he was. I think he was an amateur, an Olympic wrestler while I was wrestling in high school. I think. When was his years?
He won gold at the '96 Olympics.
Yeah, that's why. And then he went pro while I was in high school, and that's why I remember
Okay.
that name. Okay.
Yeah. He won gold at the '96 Olympics in amateur wrestling for his weight class. He's quoted in a 2017 interview that Chris Benoit has, quote, got to be in the top 3 of all time. So that's an Olympic gold medalist saying that this guy was one of the best ever.
One of the best. What is he saying? Not actual like Olympics or Roman Greco wrestler. He's saying like a wrestling
Professional
performer,
wrestler.
right? Like
Right.
his performance is ability to fake it. I don't mean that like disparagingly. Those men are extremely hard on those bodies. They're every bit as much athletes as any other pro athlete, but their performance is fake. So what I'm saying is their performance.
Right.
He's good at
they're
that.
pulling punches and they know how to take bumps and shit like that.
Right.
You still have to be capable of picking up a 300-pound man and throwing him or
Over your head.
jumping off a
Right,
ladder
I mean,
or whatever the fuck.
They
Yeah,
worked out
yeah.
constantly. When they weren't performing, they were working
Like, it's
out.
not a real sport, but they are athletes.
Yeah.
I think is the best way to describe it.
Yes. Yeah. In some ways, you have to be a better athlete to make it to fake it and make it look real. Kind of like the Washington Generals. You ever watch the Harlem Globetrotters?
Don't they have like a win ever?
I think so. I think they do have one. But I mean, I believe the teams switch off every once in a while. Like they're all this one team and they just switch off who wears jerseys.
Oh, it's all the same guys. They
I
just
think so.
swap jerseys or whatever.
But yeah, I mean
Okay.
those guys are some of the best athletes in the world, better than a lot of the NBA players.
I'm not a basketball guy, but I would go see the Harlem Globetrotters.
You should. Everybody should once. They're fun. They're an American treasure. I hope nothing problematic happens to them. I hope they weren't founded by like Nazis or they fuck little kids or some shit like that. I hope that's the one of the last true pure American establishments like Betty White.
Dave Meltzer, a journalist who follows pro wrestling and the publisher and editor of Wrestling Observer newsletter, considered Benoit, quote, one of the top 10, maybe even top 5 all-time greats.
I'll take his word for it.
Benoit held 22 different championships between the WWF/WWE, WCW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and ECW. He was a 2-time world champion, having been a 1-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion and a 1-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Let me actually ask you a question real quick. You're more into the scene than I am. Throughout this research, Japan popped up more and more, or not more and more, but a lot. Specifically Japan. Are they like some sort of pro wrestling powerhouse or something? Or are they up and coming? Or is it America and Japan? Like, what's up with that?
It's my understanding that there's like 3 major regions for pro wrestling. The US, Mexico, and Japan.
Oh yeah, Mexico has the luchadores. That's right.
Yeah. Japan, a lot of people from North America, Canadians and Americans and shit, will go over there, get some experience and shit, and then come back to the States and make it big.
So Japan's the farm team? Farm league?
Ish. They have their own, like, big-time headliners and shit over there, but a lot of American wrestlers will go over there and start out their career.
I don't mean to sound racist at this, because I'm not, but I've actually lived there and I've actually spent time there. But Japanese are generally they're smaller. I mean, they're a smaller culture than Americans. Americans are among some of the biggest people on earth. That's not true. I mean, there's the Africans and there's some Russians and shit. But anyway, compared to Japanese, we're much larger. So it would seem that they wouldn't be producing. I don't know. That's weird. I just wanted to point that out. That strikes me as strange.
You're not going to get your homegrown Hulk Hogan's and Andre the Giants coming from Japan very often. But
well, America didn't
a lot
get
of the
Andre the Giant.
medium-sized guys. No, he was French.
Was he French? French? I thought he was Belgian. No? We should do him.
I'm pretty sure Andre was French.
We should do him hard. That should be a 2-parter, honestly.
I wonder if you're the first person to ever say we should do Andre the Giant hard.
Oh, no. Can you imagine that? Like, I bet he wrecked every fucking woman that he's been on.
I mean, if shit's fucking proportional.
Even if it's not. I mean, even if it's the size of his pinky, it's fucking huge.
Have you ever seen the picture of him holding a beer can?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's fucking ridiculous.
It looks like he's holding a salt shaker. Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean by proportion. Like, I mean, fuck.
Yeah, 7'4" or some shit that guy was.
I don't know.
Like, Hulk Hogan was built at 6'8", and he made Hogan look tiny.
Hogan is 6'8"?
That's what he was built at least.
Well,
fucking 40 years ago, he might have been 6'8".
No. I bet he wore platforms and they still gave him an inch or two.
Well, all their heights were exaggerated.
Yeah, I bet he was like 6'4".
Oh yeah, he was an easy 6'4".
Yeah,
he's probably still 6'4" now, and he's shrunk because he's old and fucking beat to shit.
That makes me think of I wonder if Arnold Schwarzenegger shrunk at all. I'm thinking of that guy that young kid who came up and fucking drop kicked him or tried to.
Oh,
and he just kind of stumbled
like
a little bit
months ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Schwarzenegger was never that big. Like,
no, he was.
I think at his tallest, he was only like 6'3".
No. One of the things about him being, Mr. Universe is his height, because most bodybuilders are super short. That's how they. That proportion makes their muscles look
bodybuilding is
bigger.
normally a sport for guys under 6 foot.
What's that?
Bodybuilding is usually a sport for guys under 6 foot.
Yeah, but he's like 6'4", 6'5", like, or I think he's maybe even like
he was like
he's
6'3".
tall.
He was taller than the average bodybuilder, but he's not that big. They just filmed him that way. There's a picture of Arnold hanging out with Andre.
Him that way, like,
and
movie stars are small.
There's a picture of Arnold hanging out with Andre and some basketball player or some shit, and they fucking dwarf him.
Wait, the basketball player dwarfs Andre the Giant?
No. The basketball player and Andre dwarfed Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, he's not. He's short for basketball players. 6'3", 6'4" is kind of on the short side.
Yeah. But like everybody has this idea that Arnold is fucking huge. And he was a big guy, but he's not huge.
Well, his muscles are huge. I think you mean tall, right? Like giant tall.
Right.
But and also like Hollywood people, they're also deceptively small. And I tell you, I
Like fucking
met Mickey
Tom
Rourke.
Hanks. Tom Hanks is like 5.5 feet tall.
Oh, he's crazy. Have I told you I've met Mickey Rourke once?
Did I say Tom Hanks? I meant Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah. I knew what you meant, but Tom Hanks too. But anyway, Mickey Rourke, you know who that is?
Yeah, I know who he is.
So he's considerably smaller than I am, and that threw me for a fucking loop. Like he looks huge in movies.
It's all on angles and shit.
Yeah. Well, that and compared to everybody else, he is huge in Hollywood.
Yeah.
All the actors.
Yeah. So back to
Chris.
Benoit.
Yeah.
Benoit was a WWE Triple Crown champion, having won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Intercontinental Championship, and the WWE Tag Team Championships. He was also a WCW Triple Crown champion, winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship, and the WCW World Tag Team Championship. Chris holds the record for completing the WCW Triple Crown the fastest, completing it in only 309 days, between March 99 and January 2000. So in 10 months, he won the U.S. title, the tag title, and the World Heavyweight title. It's a fucking hell of a run.
Yeah.
Benoit is only the second of 4 men in history to achieve both the WCW and WWE Triple Crown championships. The other 3 are Ric Flair, Bret Hart, and Booker T.
That kind of reminds me of, although he was the first to do it, Mike Tyson a couple episodes ago. He was the first one to win all 3 belts.
Yeah. Now, these Triple Crowns, they don't have to hold all 3 belts at the same time.
Did he, though?
So it's not... I don't think he did.
Oh.
I know he was WWE World Heavyweight Champion and Tag Champion at the same time.
Well, Mike Tyson would have beat the fuck out of Chris Benoit anyway.
Probably. There's not a whole lot of people Mike Tyson couldn't beat the fuck out of.
Maybe not Andre the Giant. I would love to see that.
No, there's a hell of a height difference there.
I would love to see that. Fucking Mike Tyson and Andre the Giant both in their prime. That would be so fun.
That would be a good time.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you. Yeah.
There's gotta be some video game that has Mike Tyson and Andre both in them or some shit.
Everybody has a plan until they punch you in the knee.
Dick punch, dick punch, dick punch.
In 2003, did you mention that he and his wife Nancy Benoit were married on November 23rd in 2000?
I have not gotten Nancy yet.
Okay, well, they were married in 2000.
Yeah, we'll circle back around to that. Go ahead.
Okay, so on May 12th, 2003, Nancy Benoit filed a family violence ex parte meaning with respect or in the interest of one side only, or of an interested outside party. Anyway, she she got a protective order. Their son was 3 at the time. The order was granted. In the order, it states that Chris is not to disconnect utilities or services, their auto, health, and life insurance, or interfere in hers or their child's mail. She was ordered a red 2003 Hummer with all keys and proof of insurance. He was ordered to stay 100 yards from her and their kid and their residences. He was ordered to have no direct or indirect contact. She was granted custody of their son. He was ordered to pay child support in the amount of $3,500 a month. She was awarded $5,000 a month. So altogether, it's $8,500 he's paying in alimony and child support. In addition to what she was awarded upon filing, the results of that hearing were: she was granted permission to remove his property from their house. He was ordered to undergo drug and alcohol abuse treatment. He was ordered to undergo a Betterers Intervention Program. He was granted supervised visitation and ordered to pay her legal fees. Now, I want to say about supervised visitation, when you get that information that you were ordered to do that, I myself am divorced. It was not a happy divorce, and stuff. When you hear that you are going to get supervised visitation, it's fucking enraging. Like it would anger fucking anybody who cares about their kids, that they're not allowed to see their kids unless they're supervised. I didn't get supervised visitation. I got visitation. So it, obviously the difference is it didn't have to be supervised. But anyway, I'm just saying that in itself is extremely enraging. Anyway, in her filing, she stated that the facts were: Chris is a professional wrestler and considerably larger and stronger than she is. He also works in a world of, and this is my editorializing, he also works in a world of violence and intimidation, and was probably the only tool that he had to use in his bag as far as relationship communication.
Well, these guys are basically actors that are super buff and
no, I know, and I'm not saying that.
I mean, wrestling is really just a fucking soap opera,
right? And I'm not saying that I am not blaming wrestling. I'm not blaming the culture. I'm not blaming anything like that. I'm just saying that attitude is promoted and is rewarded. And so if that part of your personality is developed more than any others, that's probably what you have to go to communicate before anything else. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And this is a guy that communicates through yelling and shit.
Yeah.
Multiple nights a week. So
she goes on to say that Chris lost his temper and threatened to strike Nancy and cause extensive damage to the house and personal belongings of the parties, including furniture and furnishings. In a domestic relations action standing order, in addition to everything above, that she was also awarded her share of the monetary value of their co-owned company called Wolverine Sports Inc. Dissolved that in order to give her the money for it. And on the same day, she filed a complaint for divorce. But, and we'll get to it, you might get to it later. That lasted from May until August, and on August 25th, all of that was dismissed. So 6 months, 4 or 5 months or whatever. I don't know. I'm not mathing well, but so they lived like that for, several months. A good portion of the year.
Right.
Yes.
And that was 2003, you said, right? In 2004, Chris Benoit won the Royal Rumble. He entered at number 1 of 30 and lasted over an hour. He and Shawn Michaels are the only two men to ever win the Royal Rumble from the number 1 entrant.
Over an hour. So you wrestled. Matches last 3 minutes. And that's a long fucking time to be wrestling. That's a long time.
Yeah. Granted, this is pro wrestling. There's a lot of rest spots and shit like that, too. You're not wrestling for an hour
And
straight.
I'm sure that...
Yeah. At the end of a 3-minute
for the
match,
rest of the day.
You're fucking done. Have you ever wrestled in a tournament where you're doing...
Yeah, I've wrestled in quads,
2, 3, 4 matches a day?
Oh,
that is the most fucking tired you will ever be.
But also, I mean, the entire thing was probably scripted and rehearsed and like.
Oh, it is.
I mean, there's a good there's a good amount of improvisation, but the general events and results are all preordained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All the big spots and everything are already planned out. There's a lot of
nobody stands on another dude's shoulders and then stands on a turnstile on accident.
Winning that Royal Rumble would lead to Benoit competing for the World Heavyweight Championship in a triple threat main event match at WrestleMania 20 in 2004. There he faced Shawn Michaels and reigning WWE World Heavyweight Champion Triple H. Benoit won the championship by making Triple H tap out to his crippler crossface, marking the very first time the main event of WrestleMania was won by a submission. The rematch was held at Backlash in Benoit's hometown of Edmonton, Canada. This time it was Shawn Michaels who would end up tapping out to Benoit's sharpshooter. I assume you probably don't know what
I do it all the
Montreal
time.
Screwjob is, do you?
I usually do it in the shower, though.
I think we're thinking about different things.
I usually do it in the shower. It's easier to clean up.
What?
Yeah.
Just rinse
Maybe
it down
a little
the drain when
bleach.
you're done.
Probably. Bleach is recommended.
Don't that burn?
Afterwards to clean up.
I feel like the bleach would burn.
Yeah, you don't use bleach for lube or anything. That's what the fucking Ajax is for.
Ajax and a Brillo pad?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta make it rub a little bit.
You gotta get that grip.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta feel it. Anyway.
So, the Montreal Screwjob is when Shawn Michaels put Bret Hart in a sharpshooter in Canada. Montreal, to be specific. Hence the Montreal Screwjob. The bell was rung, and Michaels was declared the winner, even though Bret Hart never tapped out. So, Shawn Michaels tapping out to the same move in Canada by a Canadian is kind of poetic.
That's fucking cheap. He was robbed. Fuck that shit.
He was robbed. Some might say he was screwed. In
Montreal. Screwed. Ding, ding, ding. I love it when they say the name of the movie in the movie. That's so hilarious. Has just been revoked.
After this, Benoit went on to win the tag titles with fellow Canadian Edge. So he was world champion and tag champion all at the same time. At Bad Blood, Benoit and Edge failed to regain their tag titles, and Benoit successfully defended the World Heavyweight title against Kane, a.k.a. Glenn Jacobs, a.k.a. the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fucking...
Yeah, they got this 7-foot-tall former wrestler as their fucking mayor.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Did we talk about that in an episode before?
I think we've talked about that before, actually, yeah.
Yeah. I want to say it was the horror movies episode. Talking about Rob Zombie or some shit?
Could be. I have no idea.
Does he have any connection to Rob
Zombie? I can't
Zombie?
remember what the fuck we talked about last week, let alone what we talked about a couple months ago.
Well, at least he's not that pussy Jesse Ventura. Fuck that motherfucker. I'm gonna fuck him in his ear.
He was governor.
Yeah, I know.
He got killed by the Predator, too.
Good.
So, a month later at Vengeance, Benoit again beat Triple H in another title defense. Then on August the 15th, 2004, Benoit was defeated by Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. This made Randy Orton the youngest World Heavyweight Champion in WWE history. Not as young as Mike Tyson when he was World Champion, though.
How old?
He was like 23, 24, something like that. I don't remember.
Mike
Tyson was like, yeah.
He was 20.
Yeah.
He wasn't even allowed to drink yet. I'm sure he did, though.
Oh, absolutely. Well, world-class athlete. He might not have.
But my car,
he might not have started drinking until afterwards.
Cathamato never let me drink. He said, you can't drive me and drink. Because he was a car. Cathamato.
There's a recurring thing in Mike Tyson Mysteries or whatever the hell that show is, where Mike Tyson keeps on wrecking his car. It's fucking hilarious. The following year at SummerSlam, Benoit would win the WWE United States Championship from Orlando Jordan in just 25 seconds. By submission.
25 seconds?
Tapped the guy out in 25 seconds. Yep. From the bell ring to the tap, it was 25 seconds. From submission.
I've never seen that. I mean, was it a real submission?
It's his crippler crossface, so
I don't know what the fuck that is
can
either.
be. I used to do it to my brother when we were little. It hurts.
But I mean, the matches are scripted.
Yeah.
So then they let it, and McMahon let it happen for 25. Let a 25-second round match happen.
Yeah, that's the way it was booked. He went on to defeat Jordan in 3 more matches, all in less than a minute.
Oh,
So
so
he beat
that
this
was
guy
his
4 times in under a minute.
That was his shtick.
That was the fucking that was
Oh, okay.
the gimmick.
Okay. Oh, all right. Because he didn't really want to rehearse. You know what happened?
Sure.
When he was rehearsing, he got everything fucked up. He was never in the right position. He got all his lines wrong. He's like, and McMahon is like, you know what? Fuck it. 20 seconds. Just crippy crossface or whatever the fuck. And just get the fuck off the stage, out of the ring.
So backtracking a little bit here, you touched on this a minute ago with Nancy. In 1997, Benoit's first marriage had broken down. He had 2 children from that marriage, David and Megan. Chris met his second wife, Nancy, while working for WCW. Nancy was married at the time to WCW booker and a fellow wrestler, Kevin Sullivan. In late 1996, Kevin Sullivan booked himself and his real-life wife, Nancy, who played his manager on TV, into a storyline where Nancy would leave him for Chris. Kevin Sullivan insisted that the two should travel together, share hotel rooms, and hold hands in public to preserve kayfabe for the general public to make their affair look real.
So, like,
kayfabe is like wrestling story shit.
He was like a cuck. Like, he liked to watch his wife fuck other dudes, kind of thing, right? Like that. Like in real life, like he was getting off on this kind of
how this turned into, yeah. Supposedly they were both like real life Satanists, Nancy and Kevin Sullivan.
Which, I mean, doesn't mean that's a loaded term, but that doesn't mean like you go out and you worship Satan. It's more of a do without wilt hedonistic lifestyle, and it's not even. It's not a moral thing.
They're into weird shit to start with, is where I'm starting at. Like,
okay, they're counterculture, is what you're saying. So yes,
yeah, that's a better way of putting it. Yeah, they're into fucking not normal shit to start with.
Like Chris Benoit.
The storyline affair between Chris and Nancy became real in early 1997. So it turns out having your wife hang out with another man, sharing hotel rooms with him and everything, might not be the best idea.
Well, I mean, when you have them fucking each other while you're sitting in the corner masturbating, that also doesn't help.
Because of this, Benoit and Sullivan would have some real-life backstage heat and altercations and shit. Benoit defeated Sullivan, though, in a retirement match at Bash at the Beach, in July of 97.
So like
Nancy divorced.
He like really got off. He like probably came in his pants then. He fucking his wife divorced him, started fucking him, and then he beat
by
his
the
ass.
Guy fucking his wife.
He must have loved that. Hit me harder, choke me, daddy.
Nancy would divorce Sullivan and get engaged to Benoit later in 1997. So in under a year, he went from, hey, you should hang out and fucking storyline and to, fuck, I'm divorced. Gee, is that a new pipe? I haven't seen that one.
It is. And you know what? You haven't seen me smoke in a while.
It's fucking huge.
Thanks to Corona, I can smoke and podcast at the same time every other weekend.
Ooh.
My Corona. I think that's an old Corona commercial, right? The beer.
Sure.
Man saw Corona.
On February 25th, 2000, Chris and Nancy's son Daniel was born. And then later that same year, in November of 2000, Chris and Nancy would get married. This was Chris's second marriage and Nancy's third marriage. Benoit admitted to having a certain amount of respect for Sullivan, saying on the DVD Hard Knocks, the Chris Benoit story, that Sullivan never took undue liberties in the ring during their feud, even though he blamed Benoit for breaking up his marriage.
It doesn't sound like it.
On November the 13th of 2005, Chris Benoit's best friend and traveling buddy, Eddie Guerrero, was found dead in his hotel room. Benoit was devastated by this loss, broke down sobbing the following night during a tribute episode to Guerrero on WWE television.
When was that? What year?
Most of his friends, this was November of 2005. Okay. November the 13th, 2005. Most of his friends and family say that Chris Benoit was never the same after Eddie's death. Later that week on SmackDown, which was actually taped on the same night as Monday Night Raw, Benoit defeated Triple H in a tribute match to his fallen friend. Following the contest, Benoit, Triple H, and Dean Malenko, another close friend of Chris and Eddie's, all assembled in the ring and pointed to the sky in a salute towards Eddie Guerrero.
Are you saying they did a Hitler salute?
They kind of did the
point finger
to the sky salute.
I thought you said they were saluting to the sky.
Well, yeah, you point up.
That's
when somebody.
That's not
dies.
the image I got though. I'm thinking Hitler fucking salute.
Of course, you're thinking Hitler.
I mean, I just love fucking Hitler. Like, it's so cool. I just want to, right after saying that, I don't. Hitler, fuck Nazis, fuck them all. That's it. Yeah.
Are you done? Okay. Like I said in the top of this show, Vice did a piece on Benoit just last week. By the time you're listening to this, that was this week when we're recording this. That goes into way more depth on how depressed Chris became after Eddie's death. Eddie's wife, Vicky Guerrero, goes into detail about finding Chris sobbing, laying on Eddie's side of the bed, holding his pillow, and finding him sobbing in Eddie's home gym as well. Chris Jericho, another Canadian wrestler, described Chris Benoit crying so hard at Eddie's funeral that he soaked through Jericho's suit jacket and shirt while he was consoling Benoit.
Huh.
Jericho's another guy that we should look into.
That dude's I know who that is. He's an actor, right? He was no, that was Triple H. I was thinking he played Sabretooth, but no, that's not right.
No, Triple H didn't play Sabretooth either.
Yeah, he did.
Nope.
I bet you $1 million.
Triple H was in one of the shitty Blade movies. Like Blade 3, I think it was.
He played Sabretooth in the first X-Men series.
Nope.
To the interwebs.
To the interwebs. You look it up. I'll keep on reading. You can tell me I'm right in a minute. On June the 11th, 2007, episode of WWE Raw, Benoit was drafted from SmackDown to ECW as part of the 2007 WWE Draft. On Tuesday the 19th, Benoit defeated Elijah Burke in a match to determine who would compete for the vacated ECW World Championship at Vengeance on June the 24th. Benoit missed the weekend house shows leading up to the pay-per-view, telling WWE officials that his wife and son were sick with food poisoning. When he failed to show up for the pay-per-view, viewers were informed that he was unable to compete due to a family emergency. Benoit is supposed to have been scheduled to win the ECW Heavyweight Championship that night at the pay-per-view, but instead it was won by Benoit's replacement for the match, Johnny Nitro. The match against Elijah Burke would turn out to be his last. So, what'd you find for Triple H's filmography?
Yeah, Pain. For years, I thought I was telling everybody it was Sabretooth. Oh well, okay. Or Triple H, I mean. Cool.
Nope.
Tyler Mane played him. You, Tyler Mane. Your depiction kind of sucked.
So that leaves us off on June the 19th. That's Tuesday. Benoit's final match. And then you have what takes place that weekend.
Yeah. On Friday, June the 22nd, 2007, Chris went to get a checkup from his doctor, Phil Aston, who reported that Chris showed no signs of distress or rage. Later that day, Nancy's ankles and wrists were restrained. A ligature was placed around her neck and she was turned on her stomach. With the weight of a knee on her back to hold her down, she was strangled to death. She was then covered with a sheet and a Bible was placed next to her. So, this is not the factual part. This is me editorializing. But I imagine that after the shock and the trauma of what happened, he wanted to have a good time with his son before the world ended, because something happened to cause his wife to unexpectedly die. So I think he went out and he got him cake for breakfast and chocolate for lunch and ice cream for dinner. And I think he let him watch all of the R-rated movies and video games that he wanted. I think he played and wrestled with his son all day. And I think that the son had no idea that his mother was upstairs in their bed, strangled and dead. I think he powdered his ice cream dinner with Xanax, which was later found in his system. I think that after letting his son stay up all night without a bath, he started wrestling with him over his ever more tired growing son, putting him in a strangling hold and squeezing really tight and not letting go for 4 minutes.
I think you're making a lot of assumptions here.
That's yes, that, like I said, that was all me, but that's not.
Yes, he did strangle
that
his
was
wife.
Me just kind
yes,
of.
he did give his son Xanax.
Well, and apparently he strangled his son as well.
Yeah,
but
yeah, suffocated. I think he strangled his wife and suffocated his son.
No. It was well, what they're saying is it was a wrestling chokehold,
and that's been pretty well disproved because of how small his son was.
So okay. Let me just give you the facts. There are some facts that disagree with what I just said, but I was.
You mean there wasn't ice cream?
There was tons of ice cream. Everything was ice cream.
Well, ice cream makes everything better.
Especially infanticide. Investigators believe Benoit waited until Saturday morning to kill his son in the boy's bedroom. Ballard, who is I want to say Ballard was the investigator. I say it somewhere else. District Attorney Scott Ballard. Told ABC News that the boy may have died after being put in a wrestling chokehold. Daniel was suffocated by Benoit in his own bedroom, killing him. A Bible was left by the boy's body. However, it was revealed on June 27th that Benoit may have killed his son with a chokehold. Scott Ballard said the boy had internal injuries to the throat area but showed no bruises, indicating that he may have been locked in the crook of his father's own arm. The way that happens is you don't restrict the airflow, you restrict the blood flow.
Yeah, it's just a sleeper hold.
Yeah, exactly. The time when this happened is not yet known, and it's not really known. Now, this is weird. Daniel had needle marks in his arm, suggesting that he had been given growth hormones because Benoit and his family considered him undersized, which was theorized to be the most likely result of him suffering from Fragile X syndrome. However, District Attorney Scott Ballard released a statement saying that a source having access to Daniel's medical files reviewed said files found that there was no mention of pre-existing mental or physical health, and there was also no HGH found in his system. It was just the Xanax. Nothing. Everything else was normal.
Yeah, I had read something about that growth development shit too, but it had been disproven somehow. There was a lot of speculation because he was tiny that he had something wrong with him, but it seems like he was just a small kid.
Nonetheless, there were needle marks in his arm.
That's weird. I don't have anything on that.
Right now I want to cite my sources too. My sources were Wikipedia, wikinews.org, web.archive.org, murderpedia.org, autopsyfiles.org, and abcnews.go.com. Anyway, so Murderpedia says these calls happened between the murders, but everybody else says that they happened after. So between 3:51 and 3:58 a.m. EDT on June 24th, 2007, 5 texts were sent to Benoit's co-workers, among which was Chavo Guerrero, from both Benoit's and his wife's phone. The first, third, fourth, and fifth text messages. The second text message, which according to Scott Ballard was believed to have been sent to his neighbor to get someone to find their bodies after he had committed suicide, although Chavo claims to have also received the message which stated, the dogs are in the enclosed pool area, garage side door is open. WWE officials were notified of the text messages sent to coworkers 2 hours before the bodies were found. Oh, before that happened, sorry. I forgot to write that in. But before that happened, his Wikipedia page changed to state that his wife, that he was suffering from depression due to the recent loss of his wife.
And I'll get into that
Or some
just a
shit
little
like
bit more
that.
in a minute, too. Chavo Guerrero, who you were just
and-
talking about, is Eddie Guerrero's nephew. His best friend that died
Okay.
previously.
Okay.
So they were fucking close.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So about that, the Wikipedia adjustment. So it was very quickly, because his Wikipedia page, and this is me just, I don't have this written down. This is from the research that I read. So his Wikipedia page was one of the pages that were subject to lots of like hacking and lots of like people talking shit about him, or just changing shit just off the cuff. And so because of that, it was marked as one of the ones to watch closely by Wikipedia editors. So what happened was that was changed to say that his wife had died. And then they changed it back and said that needed to be cited. And then after that, from a new IPS or IP address, one coming from Australia, then it changed it back and it said its citing was due to some wrestling websites. And then the editors of Wikipedia changed it back shortly after that, saying that's not enough citation. So that happened.
And this was all about
At
14
that
hours
point-
before police found the bodies.
Right. And then nobody had found the bodies. Nobody knew anybody was dead. Nobody had seen any bodies. Nobody, yeah. So at that point, after that, police were called and a welfare check was made on the home, where he stated that my physical address is 130 Green Meadow Lane, Fayetteville, Georgia, 30215. So anyway, Chris Benoit. So at that point, that's when they found the family, and I forgot to put what time it was. I said that, and I didn't add that point. But anyway, they found him that afternoon on Sunday, the 26th. No,
2:30 p.m.
why am I fucking this up?
is what my notes
23rd, 24th. Sorry, Sunday 24th. What?
My notes said that they found him June the 25th at 2:30 p.m.
My note says that he killed his wife on the 22nd, his son on the 23rd, early the 23rd, and then himself on the 24th, Sunday.
Right. And the bodies were found Monday afternoon.
So Chris Benoit, according to Scott Ballard, died of asphyxiation and was found hanging by the end of a weight machine in his basement. When Benoit released the weights, about 240 pounds, which weighed more than he did, it caused his strangulation. Ballard said the pull-down bar had been removed and Benoit was found seated against the machine. The physical findings announced by authorities indicated deliberation, not rage. The statement read, pointing out details released by police, like long periods of time between each murder and the presence of a Bible next to each of the bodies. It was announced that 3 different drugs were found in Nancy Benoit's system: hydrocodone, hydromorphone, and Xanax. All 3 drugs were found to be at levels investigators considered normal for therapeutic treatment, as opposed to recreational use or abuse. The same was true for Chris Benoit.
He had
And that's
Xanax and all that shit in his system too.
Yes, but yes. No, he didn't have Xanax. I think he just had the painkillers.
Okay.
Because he was,
But a
he hurt
normal
himself daily.
recommended dosage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nothing was weird about it.
Okay. And a lot of pro wrestlers do take painkillers and shit, just due to the nature of their industry.
A lot of athletes do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very common. It's not. I mean, and using them properly and is prescribed by doctors, there's no problem at all. It's just like breathing. It's not just like breathing, but it's no problem at all.
You were talking about Chavo Guerrero a minute ago.
I was.
Chavo and Chris had spoke to each other. I believe it was Friday evening, if I remember right. Chavo probably spoke to Chris after he had already killed Nancy and didn't realize it at the time.
That's creepy, right? Like, that would be weird for me.
Yeah. In that Vice piece that they put out last week, Eddie Guerrero, it was discovered, died in Chavo's arms. Chavo was the one that found him laying on the floor. And he wasn't completely dead yet when he found him. So Chavo Guerrero's got to be a little fucked up too, you would think. Having your uncle die in your arms,
yeah, you would think.
And then talking to a guy that had just killed his wife and was about to kill his son and himself.
Yeah, that'd be weird.
You got into the Wikipedia conspiracy here. There is another one that Kevin Sullivan, Nancy's ex-husband, either committed the murders or paid somebody else to commit the murders too.
Really? Why?
The murders took place 10 years after the divorce, and it's speculated that he never really got over that, even though he eventually went on to remarry and shit.
I mean, these are all mostly steroided macho guys. That kind of insult, I imagine some of these guys could let fester for a long time.
Yeah. Normally, though, crimes of passion are done a little closer to the passion, not 10 years later.
Well, that would then question the passion part, but sociopath would absolutely do it.
Yeah. On Jim Ross's podcast, Jim Ross is a announcer for different wrestling promotions. On Jim Ross's podcast back in 2015, Sullivan is quoted as saying, quote, "And the speculation did bother me for a while, until I talked to Nancy's mother, and she said, I can't believe that people think that. And she made me feel better. The sister made me feel better. This is how people are so sick, and so much of a idol worship. They were looking for, and I don't mean this in a bad light, but they were looking for an out because he was a great, 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 fabulous wrestler." Kind of sounds like the president there with all those greats and fabulous. Anyways.
He was wonderful. Everything was beautiful. One of the best wrestlers I've ever seen.
Is that your Trump impersonation?
No, that was President Trump. He came here. You can barely tell. Like, yeah, that was absolutely him.
Your Trump sounds more like a Bernie Sanders than a Donald Trump, though. Your little stuffy.
Because it's the same guy. You've never seen them in the same room.
You have the Trump hand mannerisms down, but it sounds like Bernie to me.
My name is Bernie Trump. I am the love child of Bernie and Donald.
Oh, your fucking accents and voices and impersonations are goddamn amazing.
I know. Fucking spot on.
Eric
is so jealous of me because daddies love me more. And I have two.
I'm going to finish this quote real quick. Sullivan went on to say, quote, "We'll never know what caused it, but for people to believe something like that means they believe that the earth is hollow or flat or whatever." So, not only is Kevin Sullivan a murderer, he's a flat earth denier, too.
That fucking moron. Jesus. You know, there's this the spherical and this flat earth debate, and both are stupid. We all know it's ring-shaped like a sonic ring. Giant halo.
Have you ever seen a picture of the earth without water on it?
No.
It's not spherical. It's a big old fucking lumpy ass rock.
Oh, yeah. Well, so, okay, science lesson.
It's only spherical because water fills out the low spots.
Yeah. So, what we call this is hydrostatic equilibrium. All in order to qualify as a planet, you need to satisfy some requirements. You need to have hydrostatic equilibrium. You have to orbit a sun or a star, and you have to have swept your orbit clear of any debris. And so as Earth was developing, it was sweeping, its orbit clear of debris, and things just got kind of stacked on, kind of like if you want to picture the Thing from from Marvel, Fantastic Four. Anyway, so it just kind of get piled on. But the hydrostatic equilibrium means that everything that is all of the materials that may encompass the planet or any sort of body, the gravity is such that it makes everything turn into a sphere. The gravity and the pressure is such that when combined, it turns into a sphere. So that's what's going on. Science lesson. And that's why Pluto got demoted as a planet, because it goes in and out of the Kuiper Belt, and which is obviously not a swept clear orbit.
So it's also too small to satisfy.
There's other ways.
You said satisfy earlier, and I've been fucking working on a Pluto's too small to satisfy joke this whole time. You just kept on going.
Okay.
So when it comes to planets, size matters.
It does. You can't be called a planet or a satisfier because she's your mom. Oh! Your mom joke.
There's one more speculation. Because of the amount of alcohol bottles and shit that were laying around the house when the bodies were discovered, that Chris already had a history of alcoholism and drug abuse in the past too, but had gotten himself clean. It's speculated that him and Nancy had been drinking, and he went to sort of choke her or whatever, and thought he put her to sleep, but accidentally killed her. And then when he saw what he had done, he decided to kill his child and himself instead of face the fucking music.
So yes, that's possible. But we have this is episode 57 now. And in, I would say, a good 48 of those episodes, we have definitively solved mysteries. And for you folks listening, this episode is no different. We absolutely know what happened.
I can't wait for this. What happened?
I ran this past Scott earlier, and he absolutely agrees. So what happened was...
What
was the ex-husband's... what was the ex-husband's name? The cuck's name?
Kevin Sullivan.
Kevin Sullivan. So what happened was he discovered they were fucking, and he blamed himself. And so when he went to Vince McMahon, I want to say Ed McMahon, but that's not Ed McMahon. They're related by they're married to each other. So Vince McMahon says, "Okay, I will solve this for you." So he hired a time assassin, because if you hire a time assassin, there's absolutely no way to trace it. So this time assassin is from the future. He went back to get this contract, took this contract into the future, and ended up killing them both, making it look like Chris did it. And so then... Oh, God, I need to go on with this.
We broke Darby.
We did. And so then Jackie Chan found out about this, and because Jackie Chan's a well-known time cop, they think it's Jean-Claude Van Damme, but it's not. It's Jackie Chan. They kind of rhyme. It's a common mistake, and they kind of look like each other too. I think they were married to each other at one point, some point too. So anyway, Jackie Chan goes further into the future. Chris Benoit, they didn't actually find his body. They want you to think they found his body, but Chris Benoit, he got transported way into the future, into the year 2030. And now Jackie Chan is right now going after that time assassin, who ends up, it's crazy. It's Triple H. He's the time assassin. Jackie Chan goes after Triple H into the future, and they're right now battling it out. Mystery solved.
So what you're saying is we're 10 years away from the greatest comeback in wrestling history.
And the battle, like they're throwing bikes at each other and shit. It's fucking like motorcycles. It's awesome. They're fast as fuck.
They're going to need something bigger and better than Hell in a Cell to do this in.
Bigger and better than what?
Than Hell in a Cell.
Oh, like
you're not a wrestling person. Yeah.
No. They do it in night in the rain, like on some weird busy overpass. Yeah. And then a fucking robot from the future comes back, but it's not like a bad robot. It's one that was programmed to keep the peace. So he comes back and tries to stop
Where
them.
does the DeLorean come in all of this? Is there a DeLorean in the story? I want there to be a DeLorean in the story.
No, that's in the movies, dude.
Oh, that's not real.
No, DeLoreans.
Damn.
But anyway, so Jackie Chan and Triple H have to team up because they're afraid of AI, who's just trying to keep the peace, but they ended up in him and they become friends. So they go back and end up killing Chris Benoit, who got transported back from the year 2020 to get put back in this situation, but then end up getting killed by Jackie Chan and Triple H, who are on a bloodlust hunt after killing that AI robot. So he's actually dead now. And they're no longer in the future. You missed it.
Are you done?
Yeah. That's what happens.
So, back to the seriousness here. It appears that CTE is the cause of this break.
Yes.
Severe depression fueled with CTE and probably a little alcohol thrown in there too.
And
CTE is chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Yeah. And
do you like how I can say encephalopathy, but not like half the fucking names we come across?
Well, you did it that one time. That second time you fucked it up, you can't do it again. Awesome. You did it for the podcast. Hell yeah. Yes, encephalopathy.
Yeah, so after Benoit died, his father was contacted to do a examination of his brain because of all the concussions that Chris had suffered over the years. And it was found that Chris's brain at 40 years old was almost identical to an 85-year-old with Parkinson's.
Yeah, I had seen that too. And I believe it was this case that started the whole investigation and made this a big deal.
This was one of the big ones. There were a few NFL guys that had committed suicide too, super young, and it was found that they had the CTE. Along with Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit was probably the biggest, most mainstream that whole thing got. Now they're cracking down on concussions in the NFL and wrestling and everything, and they've come to realize that getting hit in the head hundreds of times a year is probably fucking bad for you.
Yeah. A headbutt dive? Bad idea.
Chair shots to the head? Bad idea. Helmet to helmet, bad idea.
Cocaine for pregnancy? Bad idea.
Probably.
Well, they used to give you cocaine for pregnancy. Like back in the day. They used to...
Back in the day, you could solve about anything with like cocaine and leeches.
They used to take bull testicles and replace their own testicles with bull testicles to give you more virility.
Speaking of testicles, there wasn't any sign of steroids active in Benoit's system when he died. He had elevated testosterone.
But of course he did.
But nothing, no HGH or actual steroids in his system.
Right. And
it's speculated that the increased testosterone could have been due to previous steroid use. When you quit using steroids, your balls quit making your own testosterone, so you have to take synthetic testosterone, essentially. And it's speculated that might have been why he had elevated levels of testosterone in his urine.
Um, he had also just recently passed a drug test too for one of his shows. I read that.
Yeah, after Eddie Guerrero died, they supposedly cracked down on their wellness policy with drug testing and steroid testing and shit like that.
And
And he had passed one of those in, I think, April of that same year is what I read.
and the thing about pro wrestling and the organization and the industry is it's not they're not like competing with other organizations or anything. They're competing with themselves. They're putting on a show. And so the 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 motivation for regulation, like it is in the Olympics, everybody competes, everybody should be fair. We're here to show, national pride and what we can do as a nation in its natural state. That's not what wrestling is. Like, nobody wants a skinny wrestler. Everybody wants to see big old burly guys beating the fuck out of each other. And a lot of people are okay with looking the other way. Especially the people putting on the show that they're trying to sell. So,
Well, like we said earlier, they're athletes, but it's not a sport.
right.
You're not really competing.
Exactly.
You're putting on a show.
So so they need to follow the law as far as the law is concerned, but there's no real regulating body regulating them other than themselves and what they are reporting to government authorities.
I don't know if WWE and all these other promotions and shit do their own testing or do a third party testing or what the case is.
I'm sure that
but I know that mixed martial arts like UFC and fucking Sparta and shit like that, they use third party testing, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure too.
So there is an independent tester there. I'm not positive if WWE and other promotions do the same thing or
right,
not.
but they're not putting on a show, they're putting on a competition.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. MMA is a sport where wrestling is a entertainment program.
And so there are
that's why it's WWE. It's World Wrestling Entertainment.
Right.
It's not
there are very powerful interests interested in how fair it is. I mean, there's influences that don't want it to be fair too, who are just as powerful. There's more in MMA or football or the Olympics than pro wrestling.
There's a lot more politicking in pro wrestling, it seems like, on an individual basis. From one wrestler to the other to the promoter or whatever. Like, there's a lot of fucking politics that go back.
But it's all really, the politicking is all office politics. It's not like government politics.
Right. Yeah, it's I need to do this, and this match. If you let me do that, I'll let you do this, and that, and shit like that.
It's climbing that ladder. But the thing is they
or keeping other people from climbing it too,
which is unfortunate. There's enough room for everybody. But the thing is they're not really, they're climbing an imaginary ladder because they're all independent contractors. None of them are actually employed by McMahon or WWE or whatever.
Right. And I don't know if that's just WWE that does it that way. AEW came around probably in the last year or two, and they're owned by wrestlers and shit, so they might be doing shit differently over there versus what the WWE is doing now.
But it's true for all performers, though. All performers are independent contractors.
Yeah. When I was tattooing, I was an independent contractor. I was working for somebody in their shop, but I was an independent contractor. I used to.
All right, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, so I don't know, anything else?
That wraps up what I had on Benoit.
Yeah. Hey, that's a nice shirt.
Oh, did you?
I saw the shoulders, and yeah, I saw that a while ago. Yeah, you're wearing one of our Pretty Higher Minds podcast shirts. How's it feel?
Feels like
a
t-shirt.
Excellent, right?
It's softer than I expected it to be, actually. Did you go up for the premium t-shirts or some shit?
No, that's just what they offered.
Huh.
Yeah, they're super
normally
comfortable.
They're like shitty Gildan t-shirts or whatever, and they're not
Yeah, no,
soft. These ones are way softer.
Yeah. I'm surprised by their quality. They wash well too. So you can go to Higher Minds Podcast or email us at highermindspodcast at gmail.com to request a shirt, and I will most likely get you one.
Do you still have any?
I have a couple left. We're supposed to be for our 420 recording, which might be our 421 recording.
Probably isn't happening.
Yeah. I don't.
I mean, the recording will. The get together will not.
We're getting closer and closer, and you notice that I'm here video recording without my kids because I'm home on an off week, not in the hotel, which I love. I hate being in a hotel. But anyway, where else could you request a shirt from? Or on what platforms could you request a shirt?
I imagine you could probably get a hold of us on the Facebooks. The Twitters.
And the Twitters.
And the Instagrams.
All of them.
You can also find us and all our past episodes at highermindspodcast.com.
On highermindspodcast.com.
And you already hit the Gmail, so yeah. I think we're
and
good.
Anywhere you can hear podcasts, just Google us.
Yeah, wherever you're listening to us now. If you like that program, just keep on listening to us there.
Yes, you'll find us.
If you don't like that one, switch to something else, and we're probably there too.
Probably. So this has been a long episode.
A little bit.
Yeah, we should probably sign off. This has been the Higher Minds Podcast.
Yeah.
I'm Papa Darby.
I'm Scott.
We'll try that one more time. I'm Papa Darby.
What?
We said it over each other.
Did you just fuck up your own name?
No, we said it over each other.
Okay. Let's start this whole fucking thing over.
This has been the Higher Minds Podcast. I'm Papa Darby.
I'm Scott. Oh, fuck.
I was going to go first because you went first at the time.
I think we did it fine the first time.
And honestly, we can
you go first.
They know who the fuck we are now. We'll just leave this shit in. All right, fuck it. All right, guys. Deuces.
Deuces.